2020 presidential candidates have received an unclassified briefing book on major national security threats facing the U.S. This is the first time candidates have been given this kind of information at this stage in the race. Two former acting CIA directors wrote it, including our CBS News senior national security contributor, Michael Morrell. The briefing book will also be sent to President Trump. Washington Post intelligence and national security reporter Shane Harris was the first to report on this. And Shane joins us now from their headquarters in Washington, D.C. Shane, thank you so much for being here. Why did the authors of the report send it to candidates at this point in the campaign and before President Trump?
Well, I think they see the campaign picking up speed already, quite early, I guess, and the debates are already being scheduled. And they wanted to go ahead and give all the candidates sort of a kind of level playing field of information as the best minds in the U.S. intelligence community see it on a range of threats from Russia to China to North Korea. And they were particularly worried about both the spread of false information, fake news through social media and other means, and potential foreign election interference. They kind of wanted to get everyone on the same page if they could do that. It's going to President Trump now, we understand. He is not, I guess, formally declared. There's a sort of triggering mechanism by which the candidates are getting it. But they're going to go ahead and send it to him now.
So what are some of the key issues addressed in this?
Well, really what they're trying to do is pick about 10 of the big global hotspots. They focus around nation states for the most part, but sometimes around issue areas, so like the threat from cyber warfare and cyber espionage. They look particularly at Iran and its development of a nuclear weapons capability, which is sort of on freeze right now. They look broadly at things like U.S.-Russia relations, but then try and drill down into particular sets of issues. But each of these articles is only about 3 pages long, and it's meant to essentially be a digest or a summary of the big policy challenges that the next commander-in-chief, and the current one for that matter, are having to wrestle with.
So President Trump, as you know, has a history of contradicting or not being on the same page with U.S. intelligence. You think that laying out the facts before they can be challenged is part of the briefing book's goal?
Well, they talk in the book itself in the introduction about trying to combat fake news. Now, they don't necessarily say from what source that's emanating, but misinformation and misunderstanding is definitely something that these authors were trying to counteract. And I think that whether that were to be coming from a foreign government, from just simply bad journalism or reporting, or from the president, I don't think that they're sort of agnostic about the source. They're trying to relay the facts as they understand them.
Well, how might the information in the book contradict President Trump's views?
Well, for instance, if you take the Russia chapter, it talks about the prospects for U.S.-Russia relations improving being very low, the tensions being quite high. And a lot of this contradicts what you hear coming from the president, where he talks about his own relationship with Vladimir Putin as being the thing that might improve relations. They're pretty pessimistic about that. They're also quite clear-eyed about the threat from North Korea, which is developing nuclear weapons. The U.S. intelligence community has already assessed they're unlikely to give them up. President Trump talks about the day as almost if it's kind of around the corner where North Korea might be in a position to denuclearize. So you see them sort of much the same way that I think a lot of U.S. intelligence agencies are, having a distance between what they say is the reality and what the president is talking about, maybe in more hopeful terms.
And you make an interesting point in the piece. You write, quote, most campaigns have not articulated a foreign policy position yet, so the briefing is reaching them at a time when they are probably just beginning to think about the issues in play. This is so significant, I think. Do you think that this briefing book could have an impact on the way that candidates actually shape their foreign policy positions?
I think potentially it could. I mean, it was interesting that many of the campaigns didn't want to talk about this book, I think in part because they're still figuring out what their views are. So that tells you that they're in a sort of impressionable moment. And I think definitely these campaigns will want to understand at a very minimum what it is that career intelligence officers see as the state of play, so that they can start thinking about what their responses to the world would look like. I'm sure many of them will come in already with some fully formed ideas, particularly people who've served on oversight committees in the Congress. But then there are people who've been mayors or private citizens, for that matter, who haven't really been steeped in foreign policy. So this could really have an impact on them.
All right, Shane Harris. Shane, thanks very much for your time.
You bet. Thanks.
Republicans on the House Intelligence Committee are asking Democratic Chairman Adam Schiff to step down. At a hearing today, Republican Mike Conaway read from a letter signed by all 9 Republican members questioning Schiff's leadership. It accused Schiff in part of, quote, being at the center of a well-orchestrated media campaign, claiming, among other things, the Trump campaign colluded with the Russian government. That letter came just hours after President Trump also went after Schiff during an interview with Fox News.
This guy is still pushing this conspiracy theory. Thoughts on Adam Schiff?
Well, Schiff is a bad guy because he knew he was lying. I mean, he's not a dummy, and he knew he was lying. And for a year and a half, he'd go on and just lie and leak and call up CNN and others and just, I watch him, so sanctimonious, and gets on and says, oh, well, we want to talk about Russia. He knew it was a lie, and he'd get into the back room with his friends in the Democrat Party, and they would laugh like hell at what they were doing. It's a disgrace. And he knew it was a lie, and therefore, in one way, you could say it's a crime what he did, because he was making horrible statements that he knew were false. And frankly, I heard they should force him off the committee or off the committee chair. He should be forced out of office. He is a disgrace to our country.
Schiff today said the president's comments are, quote, nothing new. And at today's hearing, he responded to the GOP letter by listing some of the controversial interactions between the Trump campaign and Russia. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi also made clear that she didn't want Schiff to step aside.
I'm so proud of the work of Chairman Adam Schiff, in stark contrast to the irresponsible, almost criminal behavior of the previous chair of the committee. So what is the president afraid of? Is he afraid of the truth? That he would go after a member, a chairman of a committee, a respected chairman of a committee in the Congress? I think they're just scaredy cats. They just don't know what to do, so they have to make an attack.
Our CBS News political correspondent Ed O'Keefe also asked Speaker Pelosi about Schiff. And a quick note, today is Ed's birthday, and you'll hear Speaker Pelosi acknowledge that in this clip.
Any questions? Birthday boy.
Following up on that, Madam Speaker, in the last Congress, there was pressure put on the Republican leader of the committee to at least recuse him. Well, he decided to recuse himself from the Russia-related investigations. Do you foresee a reason for Chairman Schiff to have to do something similar under this kind of pressure? And then I got one other for you.
It's curious that, maybe since your birthday, they may allow you 2 questions. It's curious that you said he recused himself. He denies that he recused himself. He should have recused himself. He gave you the impression that he recused himself, but he never did. He acted in a very bad way. What's your next question?
Well, Chairman Schiff and other committee chairmen have asked the Attorney General to release the full Mueller report by next Tuesday.
Yes.
If they don't, would you support subpoenaing the Justice Department for the whole report and all the underlying documents?
Oh, I support my chairman. I'm very proud of the work of all 6 chairmen. You want me to name them? Adam Schiff, Elijah Cummings, Jerry Nadler, Maxine Waters, Richie Neal, and Foreign Affairs has a piece of this, Elliot Engel, as well. And they all 6 have made that request. We'll see what their actions are. As you may know, I'm a big believer in the committee system here in the Congress. They take the first bite of this wormy apple, and I trust their judgment as to how we go forward.